Snowball Analytics and Sharesight might seem similar at first, but once you compare them directly, you'll notice some major differences in features, focus, and usability. I tested both so you can see which one matches your investing approach. So whenever I test a platform, I don't just look at the features, right? They all sound great on paper. I actually dig into what the investors say first, especially the one-star reviews that most people avoid. That's usually where you find the deal breakers that no one talks about. Take Sharesight, for example, where one reviewer complained that the website felt tricky to navigate, that editing holdings wasn't smooth, and that the company never replied to their email. And yeah, that would be really frustrating if it happened to me. Like, I want to get my emails answered if I'm going to talk to them. Like, especially if you're relying on this tool daily and you need things to happen quickly. But honestly, I've been using Sharesight for years and never had that experience. So my guess, this was a pretty rare case. Maybe the email got lost. Maybe the person, caught them during a high support volume week and they got missed. I mean, Sharesight does have a 4.5 out of 5-star rating for a reason, right? And that reason shows up in plenty of other reviews. One longtime user said that Sharesight made planning and receiving their trading plan easy, and their accountant happy because at tax time you just download the report and email it off. Another user said that it's the best way to track investments across multiple brokers, accounts, countries, and currencies too. So that one really stuck with me because they even used it to manage their grandfather's estate, which, I mean, it had like 50 years worth of share history, and it built like really complex capital gains with had tax reports, and like they had to be able to do that without losing their mind, right? So that's not the kind of praise that you fake of using a platform. It's really coming from people who have actually tested up to the limits of the tool. Now, Snowball Analytics isn't without its share of criticism. One user said that they signed up, imported their portfolio from trading 212, but when the trial ended, the site became pretty much unusable because they had too many holdings. To be fair, Snowball's free plan only allows 10 holdings. The company actually replied to this review. They explained the limit and suggested that they remove some holdings or upgrade. And here's the thing, that's exactly where Sharesight has the edge here, right? Like, even on low tier plans, its structure feels more flexible for active investors juggling multiple holdings. But that doesn't mean Snowball is like a bad choice, right? I mean, another reviewer said that he's been using it for over 2 years now and called it tremendous value for every level of investor. He loved how easy it was to track across providers and even praised the company for being responsive when adding new features or fixing bugs. That's the kind of feedback that tells me that Snowball really does listen to its users, you know? So from the review front of Snowball versus Sharesight, I mean, both platforms have their wins and their occasional misses. The key here is knowing which trade-offs matter more to you. But when I got on with the features themselves and the tools, I think things really got somewhat interesting for me. So this isn't just about like pretty dashboards. It's about whether a platform can actually help you make better investing decisions. With Sharesight, the first thing that stood out to me was how easily it connected to over 200 global brokers. I invest across multiple markets, and keeping track of performance used to mean just juggling spreadsheets, emails, and a headache. Now when I make a trade, Sharesight pulls it in automatically, sometimes from my broker, sometimes just by scanning my trade confirmation email. I can't overstate how much time that actually saves, right? Another feature I love is the exposure report, so I can see exactly what industries, sectors, and asset types my portfolio is exposed to, down to the overlap inside my ETFs. Before this, I had no idea how many times I was accidentally doubling up on the same company through multiple funds. That insight alone has helped me rebalance more intelligently. And speaking of ETFs, Sharesight makes tracking them really simple. I still remember when ETFs were more niche products. Now they're like everywhere and everyone's going into them. And Sharesight doesn't just show performance of them, it factors in tax implications, distributions, and even the hidden costs that you might miss if you're only looking at the price charts themselves. Then there's the risk reporting tool. Most platforms will tell you your returns. Fewer will pair that with your maximum drawdown so that you can see the cost of those returns. I've used it to compare risk levels across investments and make decisions that feel less like gambling and more like strategy. And if you own property as part of your portfolio, The tax tank integration is a hidden gem. It pulls real-time tax tracking, compliance data, and live market value right into Sharesight. So for anyone balancing property with shares, this one is gold. But then there's also the historical cost report, which has saved me during annual accounts. It just shows market value versus historical cost over any period. So that's perfect for trusts or SMSF trustees who need clean market-to-market accounting. And because I'm not always at my desk, the Sharesight app keeps me in the loop on the go. I can just check real-time returns and deep dive into an investment or manage my watch list from anywhere I go. Now, how does Snowball Analytics compare? Well, Snowball Analytics leans more into deep portfolio metrics and rebalancing tools. Their portfolio rebalancing feature is genuinely useful if you like to top up regularly or sell strategically to match target allocations. And the metrics tab, it's a playground for data lovers. P&E ratios, beta, Sharp, and Sortino ratios, all benchmarked against the S&P 500. If you thrive on that kind of statistical analysis, Snowball delivers. That said, for me, Sharesight still edges ahead because it pairs depth with breadth. It gives me global broker integration, robust tax reporting for multiple countries, and historical performance tracking that factors in dividends and currency movements. Snowball feels more specialized in metrics, which is great if that's your main focus, but Sharesight covers the full investor journey. But then no platform is perfect for everyone, right? Like, I've found a few quirks that weren't my thing in Sharesight. Like, the interface could be a bit more modern in spots, and if you're brand new to investing, I think like some of the deeper reports might feel like pretty much overkill. But for me, I think that's like a good problem to have. It's better to have the data and then not need it than the other way around, and then you could always like develop into it. Snowball's biggest limitation for me has been its lack of country-specific tax depth. But if you're a lean portfolio investor who prioritizes analytics over broad integrations, it's still a solid fit. And pricing-wise, both Sharesight and Snowball Analytics fall into the serious tools category. They're not overpriced for what they offer, but casual investors might find that the full features are more than what they actually need and want to pay for. Sharesight and Snowball really just comes down to the value, whether you want Sharesight, whether you want Snowball. It's just like, what's your specific style? Sharesight for a more well-rounded, globally integrated portfolio tool, and Snowball for a lean, metrics-focused approach. Check the links in the description for the most up-to-date pricing and available promos. We'll keep them current so you can check in the best deal. And at the end of the day, both Sharesight and Snowball Analytics can really just grow your wealth faster, but in like different ways. If you want an all-in-one tool that tracks, reports, and optimizes across borders and asset types, I'd lean Sharesight. If you're a data purist chasing precision metrics, Snowball is your pick. Check the links in the description for the special Sharesight versus Snowball Analytics discounts and start optimizing your portfolio today.